I just finished my workout for today. There are timestamps in the description box down below the video, so if you would like to skip straight ahead to the workout, you can use the chapter markers to do that. But if you would like to see the exercises demonstrated and explained before we begin, let's go ahead and get into that right now. You can see I have my pink Oogie ball with me today. The pink ball weighs 8 pounds. I think they start at either 4 or 6 pounds and they go up to like maybe 12 pounds. I'm not sure. All I know is that my pink ball weighs 8 pounds. So that is the weight I'm using today. I'm using it in a couple of different ways. I love this piece of equipment because it's kind of like a hybrid between a medicine ball and like one of those big Swiss balls or balance ball or exercise ball, whatever you call it. So it's very versatile. There's a lot of different ways that I can use it. So I'm using it as a weight today, but I'm also using it as an unstable surface. So if you have a ball like this, great. I know that most people don't, so don't worry if you don't have a ball, because of course I will be providing equipment-free substitutions, but my pink Oogie ball weighs 8 pounds, just so you know. For this workout, 8 pounds was plenty of weight for me today, but you may need to use something lighter or heavier. That's going to depend on your strength and on your level of fitness, what you have available to you, and how hard you're looking to push yourself today. So please consider all of those factors when choosing your weight and make the decision that is best for you. So there are just 5 exercises in part 1. Now, part 1 is going to be 20 minutes of Tabata-style HIIT. So I'm including this workout on my playlist of 20-minute workouts, because if you want to do just a 20-minute workout today, you can just do part 1. It's that simple. So 5 exercises, and Tabata means 10 seconds rest, 20 seconds work times 8 rounds, and that's 4 minutes. So we're going to spend 4 minutes on each exercise. So 5 exercises, 4 minutes on each exercise, that's your 20 minutes. I am also going to be jumping rope. My part 2 is going to be just jump rope. So you can eliminate part 2 if you don't have a jump rope, or if you just don't want to add on the cardio. If you don't have a jump rope but you do want to add on the cardio, you can still do part 2. We'll get to that in a minute, but any type of cardio you want to do for part 2 is fine. But part 1 is going to be exactly 20 minutes of interval training, but it's going to take you just a little bit longer than 20 minutes, depending on how long of a transition time you need to move from one exercise to the next. So in order to keep it feeling like one continuous 20-minute workout, as opposed to 5 teeny little 4-minute workouts, you want to really push yourself to move directly from one exercise to the next, but it will end up taking you just a little bit more than 20 minutes. I think it took me like 22 minutes and 30 seconds or something like that. So plan on that if you are choosing this workout, because you want to do a 20-minute workout. It's actually going to be just a couple minutes longer than that. It just depends on how long it takes you to move from one exercise to the next. So let's go ahead and get into the exercises. The first exercise is essentially going to be what I call a dragon lunge. I know the rest of the world calls it a curtsy lunge. So let me actually show you your equipment-free modification first, so that then when I add the weight, we're just kind of adding on to what I've already shown you. So let me get this out of the way for a second. So what I call a dragon lunge is what everyone else calls a curtsy lunge. So you probably know it as a curtsy lunge. So imagine if you're standing in a box, you're going to pick up one foot and you're going to lunge behind and diagonally across your body. So imagine if you're picking up this foot, imagine if you're trying to touch that back corner of your box, like that. And then from here, you're gonna bend both knees and sink down into your lunge. If you can tap this back knee to the ground, that's great. Do it, just make sure you're controlling the movement so that you don't bang your knee into the ground. And then just step it back forward. We're gonna be alternating sides with each rep. So then you're gonna pick up the other foot and you're going to lunge behind you and diagonally across your body towards this corner of your box. Okay, so you're gonna tap that foot down, and in that back corner of the box, bend both knees, and then press into the heel of your standing leg and step forward, return to your starting position. That's it, okay? So step back behind you and diagonally across your body, lunge, and press into the heel of your standing leg to come forward, and then repeat on the other side. Okay, super simple. So that is your curtsy lunge, what I call a dragon lunge. So I'm going to be adding weight to that. I have my 8-pound Oogie ball here, and I'm just going to be adding a halo. So a halo means that I'm taking my ball and kind of drawing a halo around my head. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the ball in front of me like this, and I'm going to bring the ball behind my head and around. Return to the starting position. Now, as I do that, I'm gonna be stepping back into my lunge. So I'm going to initiate this movement, but instead of stopping here, I'm going to continue in that direction as I sink back into this lunge, so that the ball is going to end up to the outside of this front leg, okay? And then as I step forward, I'm going to continue my momentum in the other direction. I'm going to make a circle around my head in the other direction, continuing the motion this way with my ball as I step back into that lunge, and the ball is going to end up on the outside of my front leg. But from here, you're going to make your circle in the opposite direction. So step forward, bring the ball up and around, continuing that motion, and step back into your dragon lunge or curtsy lunge. Bring the ball with you to the outside of this front leg and continue. Halo, dragon lunge. Halo, dragon lunge. So this would also work with one of those small medicine balls or a kettlebell or a dumbbell, okay? So any kind of weight will work. You can just do the same exercise holding a dumbbell instead of a big medicine ball, or you can hold a small medicine ball or a kettlebell, and it's the same thing. You're just gonna draw your circle, make your halo, and then continue your little circle, like continue in that direction as you step the foot back into your dragon lunge, and then from here you're gonna go in the other direction. So make a halo, and then let your momentum continue this way as you step back into your dragon lunge. Halo, lunge, halo, lunge. So your weight is always ending up to the outside of this front leg. So if you don't have any exercise equipment, you can use a water bottle or a shampoo bottle filled with water, uncooked rice, dried beans, kitty litter, sand, powdered laundry detergent, okay? So look for household items that will work if you don't have any exercise equipment. So my Oogie ball weighs 8 pounds. The dumbbell that I just used to demonstrate that weighs 10 pounds. But my sandbag is filled with about 25 pounds of sand. So you could use something like this as well. The ball, I actually find this exercise more difficult with my Oogie ball, even though it's lighter, because of the shape of it. There's more to consider than just the weight of your item, but I will say that I have done this exercise with my sandbag before many times before I've done this exercise with my sandbag, and it does kind of make the exercise, like, it just hits different. So but you can absolutely use a sandbag. So if you have a sandbag, sure, go ahead and grab that. If you don't have a sandbag, you can try making something similar by using a duffel bag or a backpack filled with some type of weight. So you could use bags of rice or beans or kitty litter, or like a bag of dog food or something like that, okay? So get creative and use what you've got, but you could absolutely do this with something like a sandbag, but it's gonna hit a little differently, so just prepare yourself for that. But basically you're gonna do what I always call an around the world. So an around the world with my sandbag means I'm starting with the sandbag down here by my hips, feet a little wider than shoulder width apart, and I'm gonna bring the sandbag, I can't really do it slowly, but I'm gonna bring the sandbag up behind my head, around, and return to the starting position. So it's almost the same thing as a halo, but just because of the logistics, like just the way the sandbag is, you have to kind of do it a bit differently, but it's the same principle. Bringing the sandbag behind my head and around, and then I'm going to continue the momentum. So instead of just coming back to the starting position, I'm going to continue in that direction with the sandbag and step back into my lunge so that the sandbag is, again, towards the outside of my front leg, that standing leg, okay? So around the world, and then lunge, and then continue on the other side, around the world. In the other direction, continue your momentum towards that side, and the sandbag ends up on the outside of that front leg. Okay, so essentially the same exercise, but that's another possibility if you have a sandbag or something similar that you can use for weight. And of course, if you don't have anything that you can use for weight, or you just don't feel comfortable adding weight, then you already have your equipment-free version, all right? So you're gonna eliminate the halo, because if there's nothing that you're lifting up and over your head, then this doesn't make any sense. So you're going to eliminate it altogether and just do curtsy lunges or dragon lunges, okay? So just stepping back to that back corner of the box, so lunging behind you diagonally across your body, and you're just gonna do this, okay? So that is your body weight alternative if you don't have anything that you can use for weight, or you just don't want to add weight to your workout. And that's exercise number 1. The second exercise is a one-leg glute bridge raise with a leg lift. So it's a lot of words, but it's not complicated. We're going to be done on the mat for this. So if you have an exercise mat or a yoga mat, I just use my jump rope mat out here, but you're going to want something soft beneath you. So if you're working out on a carpeted floor or on grass, you might not need anything, but if you're working out on a wood floor or on concrete like I am, you're definitely going to need a mat. So if you have an exercise mat or a yoga mat, get that ready. If you don't have a mat, a towel should be fine. But if you have something soft beneath you, that's going to be ideal. So get that ready if you have it. So for this exercise, again, I'm going to show you your equipment-free modification first, and then I'll show you the exercise the way I'm doing it, because that way you'll understand the movement, and then when I show you the exercise the way I'm doing it, we're just kind of building on that, okay? Increasing the difficulty. So we are going to start down here on our mat. My knees are bent, my feet are flat on the mat. So you're going to actively press your heels into the mat as though you're trying to push the ground away from you. And you're going to lift your hips up as high as you can. Make sure to really be squeezing those glutes at the top of this movement. Now from here, you're going to pick up one foot and extend it straight out in front of you, keeping the heel elevated off the ground. And then you're going to just lift and lower the leg, okay? So I'm not tapping the ground. I'm just keeping the foot just a couple of inches off the ground, but I'm just lifting this leg straight up and then lowering the leg. So keeping this leg more or less straight the whole time, just lift and lower. And the whole time, make sure that you're pressing the heel of your standing leg into the mat and keeping those hips lifted as high as you can, squeezing those glutes at the top. We're going to stay on one leg for the entire work interval, and then we'll switch legs with each work interval. So you'll do 20 seconds on that leg, then you'll rest for 10 seconds. With the next 20-second work interval, you'll press your heels into the mat, push the ground away from you. Now extend the other leg straight out in front of you, lift and lower the leg, making sure that you are keeping those glutes tight the whole time, keeping those hips lifted as high as you can, actively pressing this heel into the mat and keeping that leg more or less straight as you lift and lower. So I'm going to be increasing the difficulty for this exercise by elevating my standing foot on my oogie ball. You could also use something like a low chair or stool or something like that to elevate your foot. Just make sure that whatever you're using for your elevated surface can't slide from underneath you. So if you put maybe a small chair or a stool on your mat to keep it from sliding from underneath you and so that it stays put, that might be doable. A smarter idea might be something more sturdy, something that is less likely to slide from underneath you, like maybe a milk crate or like cinder blocks. Cinder blocks would be a great idea. I would say that a small plyo box or cinder blocks would be ideal, but this can work with something like a milk crate or a small chair or stool, as long as you take precautions to ensure that your elevated surface won't slide from underneath you, because you're going to be pressing into it. So if you have a chair or something and you're up in this position, you don't want your chair or stool to slide from underneath you, because you could get hurt that way. So use your common sense and be safe. But if you have a ball like this, or a little bigger than this, or even a little smaller than this, but some kind of medicine ball or exercise ball that will work for this, that is going to be ideal, because the instability of the ball increases the difficulty a lot. And it really makes sure, or it really helps you to make sure that your entire core is engaged the entire time, okay? So it really causes all of those little stabilizer muscles in your core to be firing like crazy, because you're constantly having to fight against the ball for your balance. So having a ball increases the difficulty a lot. So this would be my recommendation if you have something like this. But if not, a small plyo box or cinder blocks would work great. But it's the same exercise. So I'm just going to start with one foot on the ball. I'm going to press my heel into the ball and lift my hips up as high as I can. And I'm going to extend the other leg out in front of me. And then it's the same exercise. So I'm just lifting and lowering the leg and doing the exact same exercise, but instead of having this standing foot flat on the floor, it is elevated on my oogie ball, which is an unstable surface, and that causes me to have to work even harder to find my balance and stabilize, using my core muscles to stabilize myself. So again, we're gonna spend 20 seconds on one leg, rest for 10 seconds. With the next work interval, you'll switch. Elevate the other foot on your ball or cinder blocks or plyo box or whatever you're using for your elevated surface. Press your foot into your ball or whatever you're using for your elevated surface. Extend the other leg straight out in front of you. Make sure you're keeping your hips lifted as high as you can. Make sure your glutes are nice and tight. Make sure your entire core is engaged, and just lift and lower the leg. Make sure you're controlling this movement on the way up, controlling the movement on the way down. You're not just flailing your legs about. Make sure the movement is mindful and under control and deliberate and very demure. The third exercise is transformers. So again, I will show you your equipment-free modification first, and then we'll build on that. I'll show you what I'm doing, how to use your ball, if you have one, to increase the difficulty. So we've done these many times before. Basically, this is an elbow plank to a high plank. And we're starting in our elbow plank, we're gonna come up to a high plank and then go back down to elbow plank, back and forth as many times as you can during our 20-second work interval. So I'm gonna start in my elbow plank. So I'm down here with my elbows and my forearms on the mat, my palms are on the mat, and I'm going to extend my legs behind me like this. Nice, strong plank, so make sure that you're not sinking into your shoulders. Make sure you're pressing the ground away from you. Make sure you're not allowing your back to arch like this. So tighten up your abs, keep those hips lifted high, and then from here, you're going to come up to a high plank. So pick up one hand at a time. Pick up one hand, place it flat on the mat. Now pick up the other hand, and place it flat on the mat until you're in your high plank. Again, make sure you're not sinking into your shoulders. Push the ground away from you. Make sure your shoulders are away from your ears. Make sure you're not allowing your hips or your belly to droop down like this. Tighten up those abs, lift the hips high, and keep them high. And now we're just gonna come back down to our elbow plank. So again, pick up one hand, put the elbow and the forearm back down on the mat, and then the other hand follows. Okay, so you're just gonna keep doing that, going from elbow plank to high plank, back to elbow plank, high plank, elbow plank. People call them plank up downs. They have other names too, but I've always called them transformers. But that's the exercise. Just make sure that you're doing your best to alternate which hand is initiating the movement with each rep. So for my first rep, I'm going to pick up this hand first. So this hand is initiating the movement. As I come up to my high plank, the other hand follows. And this hand, same hand, is initiating the movement as I come back down to my elbow plank, and the other hand follows. That's one rep. So with my next rep, I'm going to switch. I'm going to alternate which hand is initiating the movement with each rep. So for rep number 2, the opposite hand is going to initiate the movement. So I'm going to pick up this hand first, the other hand follows, and then again on the way down, I'm going to pick up this hand first, and the other hand follows. It's kind of a minor detail, so don't drive yourself crazy with it, but I like to make sure that I'm alternating which hand is initiating the movement with each rep, just so I stay even on both sides. So just try to think about that if you can. So again, I'm going to increase the difficulty for this exercise by having my hands and my arms on the ball. So the fact that this is an unstable surface means that I'm going to have to work that much harder to maintain my balance. So it's going to be a lot more taxing for my core. So just doing the transformers flat on the ground or on your mat is a great exercise, but if you have an unstable surface like this, it will really increase the difficulty a lot. So if you are ready to kind of take it to the next level, try it like this. So I'm going to start with my elbows on the ball, and it's the same exercise. I'm just going to come up to my high plank with both hands on the ball, one hand at a time. And then I'm going to come back down to my elbow plank, alternating which hand is initiating the movement with each rep. So now this hand is going to move first. I'm going to place the palm flat on the ball, and the other hand follows. Now I'm up here in my high plank, and now again this hand is going to initiate the movement on the way down, and the other hand follows. Okay? So elbow plank to high plank to elbow plank to high plank to elbow plank. All right? So again, just to make sure that you're minding your form, don't let your hips drop, don't let your back arch. Make sure you're keeping those abs nice and tight, as though someone is about to punch you in the stomach and you're bracing for impact, okay? So keep your abs nice and tight, keep your hips lifted high, and that's transformers. So you can do them flat on the mat, or you can do them on an elevated, unstable surface, like an exercise ball. If you want to increase the difficulty, that is up to you. For the next exercise, I am again using my ball as an unstable surface to increase the difficulty and tax my core even more, causing all of those tiny little stabilizer muscles in my core to be working super duper hard today. So I'll show you on my ball the way I'm doing it, and then I'll show you your equipment-free modification. So don't worry if you don't have a ball. But if you do have, again, a small plyo box, you could use a medium plyo box for this as well. A chair or a bar stool would also work great for this. I frequently do this exercise using one of my dining room chairs as my elevated surface. So a chair or a stool would work great. Or again, a plyo box, cinder blocks, a milk crate. Okay, so any kind of elevated surface pretty much will work for this. But again, if you have a ball that you can use, the instability of the ball is going to increase the difficulty even more. All right, so what you're going to do is come down onto your mat. Your hands are on your mat right underneath your shoulders, and you're going to come up into a plank position with your feet on the ball. So again, make sure you're not sinking into your shoulders. Make sure you're pressing the ground away from you. Shoulders are away from the ears. Your hips are lifted nice and high. So tighten up those abs. Remember, you're bracing for someone to punch you in the stomach. So tighten up those abs and use your ab muscles to keep your hips lifted high. Don't let your hips drop down like this. Don't let your back arch. You want a nice flat back. So press the ground away, tighten up those abs. Use your ab muscles to lift the hips high. And now you're just going to pick up one foot and tap it on the ground, then return to your starting position. Repeat on the other side. Pick up the other foot, tap it on the ground, return to the starting position. So just tap, 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 and tap. simple exercise, but it is a killer. You're going to be feeling it in your shoulders and your entire core and probably your quads as well. So if you don't have a ball or a pile box or cinder blocks or a chair or a stool or anything that you can use as an elevated surface, or you just don't want to have your feet elevated, you can do the exact same exercise right down here on your mat, okay? So just come into your plank position. Hands are directly underneath the shoulders. You're going to extend the feet behind you and have your feet together to start. And again, paying attention to your form, making sure you're pressing the ground away, shoulders are away from the ears, abs are nice and tight, your entire core is engaged, your hips are lifted high, and you're just gonna step one foot out to the side and back in. Step the other foot out to the side and back in. Just step and tap, step and tap, step and tap, step and tap. Now, if you don't have anything to elevate your feet on, but that exercise is not challenging enough for you, because it is much less challenging if you don't elevate your feet. So if you're a beginner, stick with that. That's a great exercise for beginners. If you're not a beginner and you're looking for something more challenging than just what I showed you, but you don't have any place to elevate your feet, you can do plank jacks, okay? So it's like a jumping jack, but from a plank position. So instead of tapping one foot at a time out to the side, you're just gonna start with your feet together and jump both feet at a time out to the side, and then jump them back in. Okay, so out, in, out, in, out, in. You could also do that from an elbow plank position, but that's another possibility, and that will increase the difficulty a little bit without elevating your feet. So for the fifth and final exercise, I am again using my ball as a weight. But another great thing about this very versatile piece of equipment is that I can use it in a weight in ways that I can't use other weights as weight. That made a lot of sense. It will make sense when I explain it, but that was a very poorly crafted sentence. Forgive me, it's like 108 degrees out here today. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a sit-up. I'm going to bring the ball with me, and I'm going to toss the ball. So I'm starting down here on my mat. My knees are bent, my feet are flat on the mat, and I'm holding my ball in front of my chest. I'm going to sit up, and as I sit up, I'm bringing the ball with me, and as I get to the top, I'm going to throw the ball straight up in the air and catch it, okay? And then I'm going to bring it back down to my chest and reverse the movement. Sit back down, return to my starting position, and that's it, okay? So it's just a sit up with a ball toss. So starting here with my ball in front of my chest, sit up, toss the ball, catch it, and return to the starting position. Sit up, toss, catch, and back down. Just like that. Okay, so the point I was trying to make, very poorly trying and failing to make, was that even though I'm using this as a weight, the fact that I can toss it like this, that's an exercise that I can't do with, say, a dumbbell or a kettlebell, for example. All right, so if you have, if you don't have a ball, but you do have a dumbbell or a kettlebell or something like that, you can do this exercise, but obviously you're not going to toss your kettlebell or your dumbbell up in the air. The ball is soft enough that if I miss it and it lands on my face, even though it weighs 8 pounds, it's not gonna do any damage. Obviously that's not the case if I toss my dumbbell or my kettlebell up in the air and miss it and I'm not successful catching it. So please don't throw your dumbbell or your kettlebell up in the air. So if you have a dumbbell or a kettlebell, you're going to do the same exercise without the toss. So you'll start on your mat, on your back, knees are bent, and then your weight is right in front of your chest. You're just gonna sit up and you can just press the weight up overhead. Now, since you're losing an element in the toss, you can add an element if you want. So if I'm doing this with my dumbbell or with a kettlebell, I'd probably throw in a little tricep overhead press here at the top. That's up to you. Then bring the weight back down to your chest and return to the starting position. So sit up, press the weight up, bring the weight back down to your chest, and return to the starting position. And if you want, you can add that little tricep press at the top. That's up to you. Just make sure if you're adding the tricep press that you're keeping your elbows glued to the side of your head. So you don't want your elbows coming back behind your head like this. You want your elbows from your arms, from your shoulders to your elbows to stay perfectly still. You're just hinging at the elbows. So think of gluing your elbows to the side of your head, just hinging at the elbows, letting that weight drop behind you, and then really engaging, isolating those tricep muscles to lift the weight back up. But as you lift the weight back up, again, you don't want your elbows coming forward. You want those elbows glued to the side of your head. Then bring the weight back down to your chest and return to your starting position. So that will work with a dumbbell or a kettlebell or a household item, like a shampoo bottle or a water bottle or something like that. So get creative and use what you've got. If you do not have a dumbbell or a kettlebell, but you do have a sandbag, you can do sandbag sit-ups. I haven't done sandbag sit-ups in a minute, but this is an exercise that I do frequently do with my sandbag. So again, my sandbag is filled with about 25 pounds of sand. So it's gonna slow me down a little bit. I won't be able to do as many reps with my sandbag, but it's still another option. So if you have a sandbag, you can do sandbag sit-ups. Or again, if you want to make something similar to a sandbag, you can grab a duffel bag or backpack and fill it with some sort of weight, bags of beans or rice or whatever you have available to you. So I'm gonna come down on my mat, and my sandbag is above, not above my head, I guess, I don't know. It's over here. So I'm gonna do it, you guys, seriously, I'm not kidding, it's like 108 degrees today, so give me a break, my brain is fried. So I'm just going to grab the handles of my sandbag, and as I sit up, I'm going to bring the sandbag with me and press it up overhead. And then reverse the movement, so bring the sandbag back down in front of the chest, return to the mat, and bring the sandbag back up overhead. All right, so a couple of more reps, a little faster and without being drowned out by air traffic, so you can see the flow of it. So I have the handles of my sandbag. I'm going to sit up, bring the sandbag with me in front of my chest, and I'm gonna press the bag up overhead and reverse the movement. Bring the sandbag back down in front of my chest, lie back down, and return the sandbag over my head. So extending my arms up over my head. So sit up, bring the sandbag, press it up overhead, sandbag comes back down to the chest, return to the starting position. Sit up, press the bag, and back down. All right, so it's actually a great exercise to do with the sandbag. We haven't done those in a minute. I'm gonna have to do those again soon because I do like that exercise. But if you have a sandbag or something similar, that's another option. And if you don't wanna add weight to the exercise, that's fine. Your body weight modification is simply sit-ups, okay? So you can start with your arms extended overhead. When I do just regular sit-ups using just my own body weight, this is how I do them. I start with my knees bent, my arms are extended overhead, I sit up and I reach my hands up at the top of the movement like I'm trying to touch the ceiling, and then reverse the movement and lie back down, okay? So however you do your sit-ups is fine, but you can just do regular sit-ups, and honestly, it doesn't have to be sit-ups. You can do crunches, you can do any ab exercise you want. There are like millions of ab exercises. So any type of ab exercise you want to do is totally fine, but that is your equipment-free modification for the fifth and final exercise. All right, so that's it for part one. And if you're just doing part one, then that's your whole workout. You're going to do each one of those 5 exercises for 4 minutes at a time. You're going to do 4 minutes on one exercise before moving on to the next, okay? So timer is set for 10-second rest intervals, 20-second work intervals times 8 rounds. So that's 4 minutes. So you're going to spend the entire 4 minutes on one exercise. If it's an exercise where we were on one side for example, so for the first exercise, that was our dragon lunges. We were alternating sides with each rep. But for the next exercise, that was our one leg glute bridge raises with the leg lift. So we were staying on one leg for the entire work interval and switching legs with each work interval. So you'll end up doing a total of 4 rounds on each leg for that exercise. Okay, I think that's the only one that's like that. But for all the rest, you're just going to spend 8 work intervals on that one exercise before you move on to the next one. So 4 minutes on each exercise, and by the time you make your way through the list and you've completed your 5th and final exercise, that will be 20 minutes of interval training plus however much time it takes you to move between exercises. So do your best to move as quickly as you can from one exercise to the next so that you keep the workout moving and it feels like one workout, one 20-minute, continuous 20-minute workout, as opposed to doing 5 little 4-minute workouts, okay? Take as long of a rest break as you need, but challenge yourself to keep it as short as you can, okay? Remember that you should always be working to your own level and going at your own pace. So rest if you need to, all right? The goal, especially during these short work intervals, the work intervals are only 20 seconds long. The goal is to not rest at all during your work interval. The goal is to give, maximum effort during each work interval, but you may need to rest. The goal is definitely not to kill yourself. The goal is not to injure yourself by pushing your body into doing something it's not ready to do. So if you need to rest, you should rest. Listen to your body, make the decision that is best for you. But that is part 1, okay? So 10-second rest intervals, 20-second work intervals times 8 rounds, that's 4 minutes. You're gonna do that for each of the 5 exercises, and then you're done. You're gonna do your best to keep your rest breaks as short as you can in between each exercise. And then if you would like to continue on with me, part 2 is just jump rope. So when I jump rope, I always just kind of jog in place like this, but any style of jump rope you want to do is fine. So if you are more comfortable jumping with your feet together, jump with your feet together. If you're really good at jump rope, you can feel free to do something more challenging. You can do high knees or jump rope jacks. You can jump side to side. You can do twist jumps. You can jump on one leg. You can do double unders. Go nuts, okay? The only thing that matters is that we are counting revolutions of the jump rope. So you're gonna count 100 revolutions of the rope, and that's 1 set. 1 rep of jump rope is 1 revolution of the rope. So we're doing sets of 100. That means you're gonna count 100 revolutions of the rope. And we're just gonna do 10 sets of 100 with the jump rope. That's it, that's part 2. So just a plus or minus about 10 minutes of moderate paced cardio. So 10 sets of 100 with the jump rope takes me somewhere in the neighborhood of plus or minus about 10 minutes or so. On a good day, I can finish it in under 10 minutes. Today it took me just a little bit over 10 minutes. I think 10 minutes and like 20 seconds or something like that. So if you don't have a jump rope, first of all, you really can just pretend to jump rope. They actually sell jump ropes without the rope. It's just 2 handles that you hold on to while you go like this and pretend that you are jumping over an imaginary rope. So you can buy one of those if you want. I think that would be fine. But I also think that if you're already jumping over an imaginary rope, you can probably hold on to imaginary handles while you do that. So whether you want to jump with your feet together or you want to do it like I do and jump like this, like you're kind of jogging in place, that's fine. You can just pantomime jumping rope. That's going to be your easiest substitution, and it's going to be the most similar to what I'm doing. So that's absolutely fine. If you don't want to do that, then any kind of cardio exercise you want to do is fine. So you can just jog in place. You can do high knees. You can do jumping jacks, mountain climbers, side jump lunges. Any type of cardio exercise you want to do is fine. The point is just to get about 10 minutes or so of moderate paced cardio. So any way you want to get that done is fine. So you can go for a run. So for some people, a 10-minute run might be a mile. For some people, it might be 2 miles. So, you know, you decide if you want to run a mile or 2 miles, or if you want to do a 5K, that is up to you. So you can jog around your neighborhood. If you want to take this workout to a local park that has like a running trail, or if you have access to the field at your local high school, you could run around the track. If you're going to take this to the field at your local high school, you could also do up and down the bleachers. Or if you have a hiking trail close to you, or a beach with steps, you could do up and down the steps at the park or the beach. If you live in an apartment complex with stairs, you could do up and down the stairs in your apartment complex, or if you live in a home with stairs inside or outside, if you have like a porch with stairs or something like that, or if you live in a 2-story house, you could do up and down the stairs in your home. That would be fine. If you have access to an exercise bike, or a treadmill, or an elliptical, or a Stairmaster, or something like that, you could hop on one of those for about 10 minutes, okay? So literally any kind of cardio exercise you wanna do is fine. 10 sets of 100 with the jump rope typically takes me somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 minutes. So plus or minus 10 minutes or so of any type of cardio exercise you wanna do will work. So get creative, use your space, use what you have available to you, and just make the decision that's best for you. But that's it, that's part 2. 10 minutes of moderate paced cardio, any way you wanna get it done. Please remember that I always take the time to type out the instructions in the description box down below the video, and you're gonna watch me do the workout now. So watch me do it, read the instructions, but then of course, as always, if anything is unclear about the format and how it all fits together, if you have any questions about the exercises that we are doing today, if you have any doubts about how to do the exercises with the correct form, or if you need any further help with equipment-free substitutions, if you need to see beginner modifications, please just ask. It's really important that you understand how to do the exercises correctly before you begin the workout, so that you reduce your risk of injury, and also just so that you make sure you're getting the maximum benefit out of each exercise. And you guys know it is also incredibly important to me that all of my workouts are always accessible to anyone and everyone who wants to do them with me. I am always here to help facilitate that. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions or if you need help. And just one final thing to keep in mind before we begin is to please make sure that you are working to your own level, and please go at your own pace. So do not push your body into doing something it is not ready to do, and do not sacrifice your form for speed. Please make sure that you are prioritizing your proper form above all else, and rest if you need to. Remember that your best is always good enough. So just do your best and let that be good enough, because it is. So I think I've covered everything. If you are ready to start this workout, go ahead and grab an exercise mat or a yoga mat if you have one. If not, a towel should suffice. Definitely grab a ball if you have one. If not, then look for household items that you can use. So each exercise, we kind of went through a bunch of different options. So maybe if you have a dumbbell or a kettlebell, or maybe if you want to use household items, grab a couple of shampoo bottles or water bottles. If you have a sandbag or something similar, if you're going to be using a milk crate or a chair or a plyo box for your elevated surface, go ahead and gather whatever equipment you need. Grab your jump rope if you have one, and if you are jumping rope with me today, take a minute to make sure you're good and warmed up, and when you're ready, let's get started. All right, my watch is going. I'm starting my timer right now. We're starting with a 10-second rest interval. So get ready, pick up your weight if you're using one. We're starting with our halo plus a dragon lunge, alternating sides with each rep. So halo, bringing the weight up and over your head, and then continuing that motion. Continuing with the ball or whatever weight you're using in the same direction, bringing it to the outside of that front leg as you lunge behind and diagonally across your body with the other leg. We're gonna do that 8 times, so rest for 10, and now here we go. Halo, dragon lunge. for 10. So 6 more intervals to go with this exercise. If your weight is starting to feel too heavy, you can drop it. And just do dragon lunges. That's totally fine. My ball is only 8 pounds, but in this heat, and after some of the tough workouts we've been doing lately, starting to feel like it weighs an awful lot more than 8 pounds. But we're more than halfway done. And after this exercise, we're gonna move on to glutes and core. So give your upper body a rest for 4 minutes while we do our one leg glute bridge and leg raises. I think we just have 2 intervals left. So let's keep pushing. Okay, I think this is the last interval. It is. So let's push. We're almost done. The thing I love about these Tabata-style workouts, that when I do them, is that once you're done with one exercise, you're done for the whole day. We're not going through a circuit and repeating a circuit of exercises. Exercise is kind of a burnout, but you do one exercise for 4 minutes and then you're done with it. You can move on. All right, so moving right on to our second exercise. This is our one leg glute bridge. So pressing your heel into the ball, or milk crate or plyo box, or whatever elevated surface you're using. If you're elevating your foot, if not, you're just pressing that heel into the ground. Now switch legs. So pressing that heel into your ball or whatever you're using, or into the ground, lifting those hips up as high as you can, and then you're extending that other leg straight, and just lifting the leg and lowering the leg. Lift and lower. Keep those abs tight. Really fight to keep your hips lifted high. Switching legs with each interval. So we only have to do 4 intervals on each side. So press your heel into the ball and lift and lower the leg. Keep those hips lifted high. Keep your abs really engaged the whole time. I know it's hard. I'm doing it with you, so I know it's hard. Just keep pushing. The work intervals are only 20 seconds long, and you get a 10-second rest in between. And with this exercise, we're alternating legs with each side, so I always find this to be a bit easier because you're not just doing the exact same thing the whole time. Even though this leg is not resting, it's not doing the same movement with each interval, so it makes it a little bit more manageable, I think. I think this is the leg we started on, so I think we're more than halfway through. I think this is interval number 5 of 8, so let's keep pushing. Just make sure you're really tightening your glute muscle. You want to be tightening all of these muscles in your standing leg from your foot as you're actively pressing down into that ball, all the way up to your glutes. Your core should be engaged as well. Okay, I think, unless I miscounted, that we have just one more interval to go on each leg, so let's go. Let's push. Okay, unless I miscounted, I think this might be our final interval. So push hard, lift the hips. All right, nice. Moving right on to the next exercise as quickly as you can. I want this to feel like one continuous 20-minute workout as much as possible, as opposed to 5 little 4-minute workouts. So if you need to rest, pause the video, come back when you're ready. I'm starting my timer now. This is our 10-second rest interval. We're doing transformers on the ball if you have one. If not, you can do them on the floor or the ground. So coming up onto the hands and then back down onto your elbows. Try to make sure that you're initiating the movement with a different hand each time so that you're alternating the sides. I know this is super tough on the ball. 2, 1, up and go. we're halfway done. We've completed 4 intervals, 4 more to go. Just 3 more. I know it's hard. We just have 3 more intervals left. Let's go. Almost done. Just 2 more, let's push. Last interval, let's go. I need a few seconds before I start on the next exercise. The next exercise is our plank toe taps. All right, let's push. As soon as you're ready, I'm starting my timer in 3, 2, 1. This is our 10-second rest interval. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So feet on the ball, and then you're just gonna tap and tap. So tapping 1 foot at a time, out to the side, and then bringing it back up onto the ball. Making sure to maintain that beautiful plank position the entire time. Remember, you're pressing the ground away from you, keeping your shoulders away from your ears, keeping those hips lifted nice and high, making sure your abs are super strong, super tight. Your entire core should be engaged. Rest. So make sure you're not letting your hips drop down. No arch in your back. Keep that back nice and flat. Okay, we're feeling it in those shoulders. I know, we're halfway done. Here we go. Back up. Really make the most out of this 10-second rest interval. Nice, long, deep breaths. All right, back up. This is our last interval. Let's push. Shake it out. Need to give the shoulders a quick stretch. We're already on to our 5th and final exercise of this part 1. So here we go. As soon as you're ready, if you need a longer rest break, pause the video. Come back when you're ready. I'm starting my timer now. So this is our 10-second rest interval. So grab your ball. If you're using one, sit up, toss the ball, catch the ball, and return to your starting position. Super simple. Rest. 1 down, 7 to go. So remember, if you don't have a ball, you can be lifting any other kind of weight. A kettlebell, a dumbbell, maybe a smaller medicine ball, or some other kind of ball. You can use a sandbag for your weight or something similar. If you have a backpack or a duffel bag that you can fill with some sort of weight. So any kind of weight will work for this. Just obviously you're not going to be tossing a sandbag or a dumbbell or a kettlebell in the air, but you'll just lift it up. And if you don't have anything that you can use for weight, or you just don't want to add weight, you can be doing regular sit-ups or really any ab exercise you want. I lost track of what round we're on, I think. This might be round 5. That's something like that. Just keep pushing, doing as many reps as you can with each 20-second work interval without getting sloppy. If your form is getting sloppy, then you need to slow down. The goal is to get as many reps done as you can during the work interval, but not at the expense of your form. So remember to prioritize your proper form above all else. But you do want to be pushing yourself to complete as many reps as you can with good form in the 20-second work interval. So maximum effort. I think this might be your last interval. If not, it's gotta be the second to last, right? I don't know. I completely lost count. Doing your best to toss that ball straight up. All right, get up. So that took me about 22 minutes and 40 seconds. I was really trying to keep my transition time in between exercises and my rest time to a minimum, so that, like I said, that felt like one continuous 20-minute workout as opposed to 5 little teeny tiny 4-minute workouts. So I'm good with that, about 22:40. So if that's all you're doing today, you are almost done. You have 1 rep left to go. I will do a bonus burpee in solidarity with you. So if you're only doing part 1 of the workout, then let's do our bonus burpee together so that your workout will be officially complete. So here's your final rep of the day. When you're ready, here we go. All right, so if you chose this workout from my playlist of 20-minute workouts because you just wanted to do 20 minutes today, or for some other reason you just want to do 20 minutes today, or you don't have a jump rope, you don't feel like jumping rope, you don't want to add on cardio, whatever it is, for whatever reason, if you're just doing part 1, then your workout is now officially complete. Please take a good at least 10-15 minutes to stretch, and then you can go have your shower, eat some lunch, get on with the rest of your day. If you are continuing on with me, we just have about 10 minutes left, plus or minus about 10 minutes of moderate paced cardio. So I'm going to be jumping rope. You can do whatever kind of cardio you want. So you can run for a mile or 2 miles, depending on how fast you run. If you have an exercise bike or a treadmill or an elliptical or a Stairmaster, something like that, you can hop on one of those for about 10 minutes. You can do up and down the stairs or the bleachers for 10 minutes if you want to take this workout to the field at your local high school, or you can jog around the park. If you want to stay put, you can just pantomime jumping rope, or you can jog in place, okay? If you are jumping rope with me, remember any style of jump rope you want to do is fine. We're counting revolutions of the jump rope. So we're doing sets of 100, meaning 100 revolutions of the rope, and we're doing that 10 times. So where's my timer? Oh, it's down here. That's so disorienting. So I'm resetting my timer as a stopwatch. So if you need a longer rest break so that you can towel off, I could probably use to towel off, but I'm not going to. Get a drink of water or a sports drink or something, maybe eat a half banana, and just give yourself a couple more minutes to allow your breathing to regulate, let your heart rate slow down a little more. Pause the video. Take as long of a rest as you need, but challenge yourself to keep it as short as you can. And when you're ready, come back. We're gonna go ahead and start part 2 right now. So my timer is set as a stopwatch. I've had my watch going this whole time, so I'm timing the whole workout, but I'm obviously timing part 2 separately because part 1 we were on intervals. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, and go. So 10 sets of 100 with the jump rope. So we're counting 100 revolutions of the rope like this. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 100. So that's our first set of 100. Mark a little slash so I don't lose track of how many sets I've done. This is going to be brutal in this heat. It's also really humid already and like sticky. So it might be a little bit of a slog for me, but I'm just gonna do my best, as should you. Remember, if you trip over your jump rope, you do not have to go back and start the whole set over. Just take a breath and get right back into it as soon as you can. Pick up your count where you left off and just complete your set of 100, okay? And do your best. Remember, your best is always good enough. So let your best be good enough. So that was our first set of 100. Now we have to do 9 more sets. So do your best. Here we go, set number 2, when you're ready. So that last set, I tripped over my jump rope on rep like 50 something. So I just took a deep breath, picked up my count at 50, did another 50 revolutions of the rope, and that was my second set. So it's okay if you trip, just get back into it as soon as you can. When you're ready, here we go, set number 3. If you're able to keep your rest breaks in between sets shorter than I am, you should be doing that. I would like this to be tighter, but I'm really struggling in this heat. All right, when you're ready, set number 4. right, that was set number 5. Halfway there. I'm trying to see if I can pick up the pace a little bit for this second half. All right, 5 sets down, 5 more to go. Here we go. That was set number 8. Just 2 more. Last set. We made it. So part 2 took me 10 minutes and 22 seconds. I didn't stop my watch right away, so I don't know exactly how long it took me, but I can actually watch the video to find out, but it was like 37 minutes and I don't know, maybe like 20 seconds or 30 seconds, something like that. So my goal was to finish, I actually set a goal of under 45 minutes because I I didn't know if I would be able to finish in under 40 minutes, but I should have pushed myself because I was able to finish the entire workout in under 40 minutes, including rest breaks and the transition time between the exercises in part 1 and the transition time between part 1 and part 2. So I'm happy with that. I needed something quick today because we are up in the triple digits again today. It is so hot out here, and I can't afford to be out here for 2-3 hours like I have been lately for some of these workouts. So yeah, happy that I finished that in just over 37 minutes. So if you did this workout with me today, let me know how long it took you. We are not quite finished yet. You know that no workout of mine is ever complete until we have done our bonus burpee. So we have just 1 rep left to go. However, when I do a workout that includes jump rope, in addition to my bonus burpee, I also like to do a bonus set of 100 with the jump rope. So it is completely optional, but if you would like to join me for just 1 more set of 100, just for a quick little bonus, it's just that little exclamation point on the end of the workout, a little celebration that we fought through whatever demons we're battling today. We fought through depression, anxiety, we fought through the lack of motivation. We got ourselves dressed, we came out here and we put in the work and we did the damn thing. So this is just kind of a little celebration of that. So if you would like to join me, we're just doing 1 more set of 100. So any style of jump rope you want to do is fine. We're just counting another 100 revolutions of the rope. So when you're ready, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that is 100. So that's our little jump rope bonus. Check. You do a good thing, you get a check. So now we have just 1 rep left to go. Let's go ahead and do our bonus burpee together, and then the workout will be officially complete when you're ready. Here we go, final rep of the day. With that, the workout is now officially complete. Bonus burpee, check. But it is Monday, so that means it is time for another Monday McFlurry mobility challenge. I found another mobility challenge on Instagram. I'm going to attempt it right now, and if I am able to successfully complete this mobility challenge, everybody wins a free McFlurry. All right, so I'm watching the reel now. I'll show you what I'm looking at so we can watch it together, and I'll kind of talk you through it. All right, so she's sinking down into this deep lunge, and now you can see she's flexing that foot and coming all the way down onto her leg, and then she's taking the knee that's bent and tapping it down in front of her. Now she's doing a bunch of other stuff. I'm not gonna be doing all this other stuff because I don't really know what the point of this is. She's just going back and forth. I think the actual mobility challenge is just gonna be this first part. So here, let's watch it again. So down into this deep lunge, and then she's flexing that foot and coming all the way down onto that back leg. And then with the front knee, she's just tapping it on the ground in front of her. And then all the other stuff that I'm not doing. So pretty simple movement. I think this one is going to be very doable for me because this is another hip mobility challenge. I really should start challenging myself more because where I lack mobility is like wrists and shoulders. I don't have very good wrist mobility or shoulder mobility. My spinal mobility is pretty good and my hip mobility is very good. So this one is, that's the thing is that most of these mobility challenges that I come across, they tend to focus on hip mobility because I think that is a weakness for a lot of people, but for me, it's actually my strength. So I actually don't think I'm going to have any trouble with this one, but we'll find out together. So if you want to try this mobility challenge with me, She wasn't using a mat, but I'm gonna do it on my mat. So grab a mat if you have one, and let's give it a shot. All right, so let's try this together, starting with your feet nice and wide apart. You're gonna sink down into this nice deep lunge. Now flex this foot and come all the way down onto your leg. Take this front knee and tap it on the ground in front of you. And then you're gonna reverse the movement, so bring the knee back up, and we're gonna go to the other side. So come back up onto your heel, put this foot down on the mat, and we're gonna repeat on the other side. So down into your lunge, flex the foot, put the leg down onto the mat, and now tap this knee down in front of you, and reverse the movement. Bring the knee back up, come back onto the heel. And she was doing a couple more lunges, I don't know why, but that's it, that's the challenge, we did it. Free ice cream. So yeah, that one was kind of in my wheelhouse. Hip mobility is definitely my strength, but I know that a lot of people struggle with hip mobility. So if you were not successful, let's go ahead and try it again. We're gonna try it 2 more times. We always do 3 attempts. So if you were successful with your first attempt, you can sit these next 2 attempts out if you want, or you can do them in solidarity with those of us who need more than one try to get it. Or you can just do it a couple more times to try to clean it up. I'm gonna do it a few more times to see if I can get it to flow a little better, get it looking nice and clean, because I always like to make a little reel out of the Monday McFlurry Mobility Challenge, and I post that separately on my Instagram and as a YouTube short, so look for that. But yeah, so let's try it again. Attempt number 2. So again, starting with your feet wide apart. And now remember, as you sink down into your lunge, to mind your form, okay? So make sure you're pushing your hips back. Make sure the weight is in the heel of your lunging foot, and make sure your back is flat. Minding your form might just help you open up those hip flexors a little bit, okay? So make sure you're not rounding your back like this. Keep a nice flat back. Push your booty back like you're trying to touch the wall behind you with your booty, and keep that back flat. Keep the weight in the heel as you sink down into this lunge, okay? And then pick up the toes of your other foot. Flex this foot, and now you're gonna come all the way down onto your leg, onto your booty like this. Now, take this knee, tap it in front, bring it back up, and now you're gonna shift your weight forward again so that your weight is in the heel of this lunging foot again. Now you're gonna put the toes down and shift your weight to the other side. Flex this foot, come down onto your booty, tap the knee, bring the knee back up, shift your weight forward again, and come up. How did you do? If you did a little better, but you're still not quite there, you might want to take a few minutes to just stretch out your hip flexors. So a couple of my favorite stretches for hip flexors, first of all, is this butterfly stretch. So just come down onto your mat, press the bottoms of your feet together, grab your ankles, and then just use your elbows to push your knees down to the mat. Okay, so grab onto your elbows and then use your knees to push. And in this stretch, it's okay if your back is rounded. Usually I want you to have a flat back, but you might get a better stretch in your hip flexors if you're able to press your knees down a little better, and you might be able to press your knees down a little better if you round your back. So it's actually fine to have your back rounded in this stretch. And you can actually lean into that and really round your back and see if you can get your forehead all the way down to your toes, or even sometimes after I'm sitting in this stretch for a couple minutes, I get my forehead all the way down to the mat in front of me. So that's fine if you want to round your back in this stretch. You can also lean forward with a straight back. It's a little bit different stretch for your hip flexors. So with a straight back, you can lean forward and kind of inch your hands out. So this butterfly stretch is great for the hip flexors. Another one that's a bit simpler, but also a fantastic hip flexor stretch, much easier as well, much more accessible, is to simply lie on your back on the mat. Then you're going to take one knee, bend it in towards your chest, and hug it tight as you can to your chest. So as you're pulling this knee in as tight as you possibly can to your chest, you're making sure that your the leg that's on the mat is extended straight. Not just that it's straight, but that you're actively stretching that leg out in front of you as though you're trying to touch the wall in front of you with your toes. Okay, so pulling this knee in and actively stretching this leg straight, super straight as you can get it, and feel the stretch in this hip flexor here. And then obviously do the same thing on the other side. So pull this knee into the chest, keep this leg flat on the mat and stretch it straight out in front of you. And then of course, pigeon pose is a bit difficult for some people if you don't already have open hips. But if you're kind of there with your hip flexors already and you just need to kind of stretch them out a little bit before you can successfully complete this mobility challenge, pigeon pose is a great one. So basically you're just gonna have one leg in front of you like this, and the other leg is gonna be extended out behind you. So you can see that my knee is bent with my foot is kind of in close to my hip flexor, the hip flexor that's being stretched. So you want your upper body to be straight on, so you don't want to be leaning this way. You want to be leaning right over your hip. You want your hips to be square, and you'll really feel that stretch in this hip flexor. Now to increase the difficulty, the closer you can get this front knee to a right angle, like this. See, now my knee is at a right angle. The more intense that stretch is going to be in your hip flexor. And then from there, so if you're not as flexible, you'll start with a more acute angle in this front knee, and you can kind of inch it out as your hip flexors open up. But the other thing is that you want to be able to gradually, so ease into it, don't push your body into doing something that it is not ready to do, but eventually, you want to be able to kind of take your upper body all the way down onto the mat in this stretch. So once you get to the point where you can do that with your knee at the more acute angle, then you can start experimenting with having your front knee at more of a 90-degree angle. And then again, make sure your hips are square, and then you're gonna slowly, okay, start inching down and see if you can get your upper body all the way down, and that greater angle in this front leg is of course going to give your hip flexor a better stretch, but you're also going to really feel it in your glutes. So again, I'm not a yoga instructor, so I might not have explained or demonstrated that exactly perfectly, but those are 3 of my favorite hip flexor stretches. So if you have not successfully completed the mobility challenge yet, it might benefit you to take a few minutes and just do 1 or 2 or all 3 of those stretches for a few minutes and really give your hip flexors a chance to open up. And when you're ready, come back and let's try it one more time, all right? So whether or not you have successfully completed the challenge already, let's go ahead with attempt number 3. Let's do it together. So remember, flat back, weight in the heel of the lunging foot. Start with your feet wide apart. Sink deep into that lunge, lift the foot, and come back onto the booty cheek. Tap the knee, bring the knee back up, shift the weight back forward into this heel, and now repeat on the other side, all the way down in this deep lunge. Sit the booty down, tap the knee, bring the knee back up, shift your weight forward so that it's in this heel, back to the center, and stand. Did you get it? Another successful Monday McFlurry Mobility Challenge. Free McFlurries all around. How did you do with it? Let me know if you were successful. Let me know how many attempts it took you. Let me know if you paused the video and did some of those stretches to open up your hip flexors, and did it help? Just let me know what you thought of it and how you did. And if you did this workout with me today, thank you so much. Please let me know what you thought of it and how you did. Thank you to everyone who has been working out with me lately, and even if you are not doing the workouts with me, thank you for watching the videos. Thank you for liking and sharing the videos. Thank you so much for all of your wonderful and supportive and engaging comments. It really does mean the world to me. Thank you to all of my new subscribers. If you are not subscribed already, please subscribe. And of course, a great big thank you to those of you who have been subscribed to my channel for years. Please know that I appreciate you all so very much. One final reminder that if anything is unclear with the format, how it all fits together, if you have any questions about the exercises that we're doing today, any doubts about how to do them with the correct form, or if you need any further help with equipment-free substitutions or beginner modifications, please just ask. That is going to do it for today. But before I say goodbye, I have to say one final thank you to those of you who have been watching the videos all the way until the end and commenting with the secret code phrase of the day. So before I say goodbye, I will give you today's secret code phrase of the day. It is, don't hate me because I'm beautiful. So if you are still watching this video, hello. Thank you for watching all the way until the end. Please let me know that someone is still watching by going down to the comment section and leaving me a comment that says, don't hate me because I'm beautiful. That is going to do it for today, and I will see you all next time. Bye.